Well, hello everyone and welcome back to another video. I hope you're well. So in today's video we're going to be talking about the trusty Canon 5D Mark IV. Now, I purchased this camera early this year in April. Now you might be wondering, why am I going to be talking about a camera that came out in 2016? Is it a camera that's still relevant for today? Well, I personally think it really is. There's no problems that I've found as a landscape photographer using this camera. Now, I am going to specify this. This is going to be for landscape photographers. As a landscape photographer, this works superbly. And in this video, I want to talk to you about the reasons why. Now, also the reason why I'm talking about this camera is I used to be a Hasselblad medium format shooter. If you go back through my channel, if you're new to my channel, you can see that I've been shooting primarily on on a Hasselblad system, the Hasselblad H4D40, which I took up a mountain. I used my 300mm lens and I took a load of gear that was very, very heavy, very, very hard. And also shot on the Hasselblad X1D, which is a marvelous camera. But I ended up moving away from that system because of health problems. I found out I had a bulging disc in my lower back, and I ended up going had a injection for that not long after finding out about that, and I just had the injection was done incorrectly. And I had a bad reaction to it, where it basically ended up putting me in a wheelchair. I was severely limited on mobility. Then I had to make that very tough decision early this year to sell my entire Hasselblad system, which I absolutely loved. Luckily, it's gone to a friend of mine, Jordan, who's going to be using it for his commercial photography. And yeah, I've been slowly working out this year my kit. So you might have seen it over the past few months. It has changed. I've gone through a few different lenses. I've gone through 2 camera bodies. So this is my second one. I had the 5D, the Canon 6D, and I settled on the 5D Mark III. Now, I used to be a Canon 5D Mark III shooter for my motorsports photography when I was an international motorsports photographer. So yeah, I was photographing in the UK and here in Australia, and I used a series of Canon lenses and bodies as well. And I went back to Old Faithful, and I love the DSLRs. I don't like the mirrorless that much. Yeah, the DSLRs still keep up today. And yeah, but I want to talk to you about some of the worries I had about the camera. The lenses I have as well, go into those briefly, and show you some of the photography I've taken since I've got this camera. And yeah, so I think that's enough about talking from here. Now I'll bring you over there. Well, this feels much better. I felt like I was too much in the spotlight over there. I was really struggling, and now I feel way more relaxed. So yeah, what I want to talk to you first off is the actually no, one of the things I don't like about the camera, and this is probably my only thing I don't like about the camera, and I wish it had this feature built into it, and that is saving me from having to use this little rubber flat thing here for when I do my long exposures. So what I have to do is remove the eyepiece, because I like keeping the eyepiece on there in case I hold the camera up to my eye, and it seals it, and I can see a lot more through the viewfinder. So yeah, I have to put this over. Normally you would find these on the lens strap, so what I've just done is put it on a little string onto the side of the camera here, and then onto there, and that works well. And to stop it from coming loose, I've also super glued it. So it's not coming off unless I cut it. But yeah, I've made sure I've not super glued it onto the camera to mark it or anything, so I can easily undo this, no problem whatsoever, and put it back on the camera strap if I choose to sell it. But I don't think I'll be selling this camera anytime soon, to be fair, because I absolutely love it. So yeah, that is my only gripe. I wish it had the same as like the 1D series. So this is my old 1DX, which is completely gone. This went in the sea a number of years ago. I think it was back in 2017, I think, or maybe 2016. And yeah, I started stripping it out. Everything. I wanted to keep the shell because salt water and magnesium don't work well, and it just corrodes like crazy. So, but yeah, this is what I wish the 5D had. If you can see that, it's going a bit blurry because I have to manually focus this lens. But yeah, I wish it had that little lever. That is my only gripe. But you know, Canon gives you a thing, so I can put that over it. So yeah, But yeah, I love doing my long exposure photography. It's probably one of my favorite things to do, mainly because it's so challenging, and you see the world, and once you've captured that photo, and I love doing it into black and white more so than color. It just looks better, and yeah, you're not drawn to colors. You're focused on contrast. And you're focused on the subject matter. I just really enjoy it. So yeah, the camera really does a really good job. What I used to do is turn long exposure noise reduction off. Now I've got it enabled. I get a really good file to edit. There's hardly any hot pixels. I think in a lot of my images, I've done an image recently when I was down at Hamlin Bay. It was a 5-minute long exposure, and I had maybe 4 hot pixels, I think, in that. I really had to zoom in to try and find them. And yeah, before, when I had a go with my I had a 6D Mark II back in 2019, I took the camera into the city. I'd done this 30-minute long exposure. I didn't use long exposure noise reduction, and I had thousands of hot pixels on the image. Now, it was fine for social media like Instagram, because with Instagram you see the image as a whole, you don't see all the fine detail, so it worked perfectly there. But if I were to have a print, or you see it on a bigger screen, then you go, oh, this is actually pretty bad. Yeah, the ergonomics of the camera is really, really nice. Everything I need is down here. Everything that I need when it comes to shooting capabilities is right at my fingertips. And since I use this primarily with live view, though I am thinking about doing some motorsports photography with this, so I think that'd be quite interesting to do, and unlock some of the features that I haven't really used on this camera. And also, it allows me to use my memory cards that I've had for a number of years. I've had this 8 gig compact flash memory card for 15 years, still going and still using it. And yeah, it's great to be able to use these. If I went with like an R5 or something like that, I've got a whole load of CF memory cards, and they would go in maybe landfill or they'd just stay in my drawers, and they would never get used, and I'd feel so bad, and I felt bad for that. So I wanted to get use out of those memory cards. I didn't want to buy a whole load more SD memory cards as well. And personally, I didn't like the mirrorless system. I like this big chunky thing, and I like having a mirror box. And being able to actually physically seeing your subject matter through a optical viewfinder. There are perks with it, and one of them, if you're doing any astrophotography late at night, you try looking through the viewfinder and seeing your landscape in front of you. All you see is black, and you see a load of noise, and it's really hard to see the scene. With this, hold it up to your eye, you get used to the lighting conditions around you, and you're able to see, so you can still compose. Maybe get torch out so you can see a little bit more, on a dim setting, and you'll be able to see. Mirrorless, you can't. But yeah, and as I said before, if I have said this before, to turn this into a mirrorless, all I'd have to do is put it mirror lock up. Now it's a mirrorless camera, so yeah, no problem there whatsoever, and it works just fine. Yeah, really nice display, top display. It's handy to have, especially if I just want to check, seeing how where my exposures are up to. I'm pretty sure as well. So yeah, the thing I don't like as well is when it comes to doing your long exposures, you're still limited. I don't know why Canon does this. A lot of camera manufacturers do this. Fuji doesn't do it. Hasselblad doesn't do it. I'm not sure if other brands do it. I think Phase One doesn't do it. But your maximum in manual mode is 30 seconds. Then you have to go into bulb, and then you have to go. And I'm glad this camera has it. You've got a bulb timer. So if I enable that, I've got one of my previous settings on here. 4 minutes 22. I just press that, and the camera goes for 4 minutes and 22 seconds. Now the sensor's alive at the moment, but don't worry about that, because yeah, we're not having any problems. But I think, as I found out recently, if I wanted to cancel this exposure, say if the conditions change, so maybe the clouds start to thin and it starts to become blue skies, and then the sun starts to come out a bit more, and it's going to change my exposure. Or I'm doing maybe a bit of astro for a bit of fun, and some car lights start to come through, and I go, oh shit, I need to turn the camera off, but I don't want to ruin the exposure. All I do is press the shutter button, and the exposure is finished, and it will actually, now it's actually processing that file, it will give me the result. Now, I think before I used to just turn the camera off, but now I know that I don't have to worry. So yeah, it's I don't know if you could do it on the 6D Mark II. If you have a 6D Mark II, could you just end the exposure time by pressing the shutter button? That's what I used to find with the Hasselblad. The H4D, you press the power button, and then I think on the X1D, no, you press the power button on the Hasselblad H4D to end the exposure if something happens, but you still get that file. Yeah, it showed me the image. There's nothing there because it's just too bright. And then I think on the Hasselblad X1D, you could press like an X or something, I think it was, and then that, or maybe it was the shutter button you could press. I can't remember now, it's been a while. But yeah, I like that feature. What I've also done as well, actually I'm going to put the body cap on just for my peace of mind now, I think it's been exposed for long enough, is what I've done in my camera is I'll show you some B-roll as well, and I love as well, everything being touchscreen. I can easily change things. Now I want to change that back because I accidentally touched the wrong places, and I can navigate my camera very, very easily, and which is really nice. It reminds me, this zone here reminds me of the Hasselblad, or even the Leica SL2S, and it's just nice and easy and simple to use. But what I've done, instead of just, you know, having to dive through, you know, your main menus here and trying to, you know, find that certain area where you want to customize, you know, when you want to change those settings. And what I've done is I've used the green menu, which is your menu, which you can customize. So what I've done here is I've got the image quality at the top, I've got my picture style, and I've changed it so I've got fine detail. I've improved the sharpness so it's more apparent that I can see the focus on the back of the screen. The back of the screen is wonderful, by the way, really, really nice and clear. Then I've got my bulb timer, which all I have to do to enable it is just press enable, and then I'm able to go info, detail select, and then I can go for minutes, I can go for the seconds, or I can go hours, which is wonderful. Would be fantastic to do a really long exposure one day, maybe an hour long exposure, which would mean it would take 2 hours because it's got to take a second shot, which I might have to look at getting an AC adapter thing and then hooking up to maybe my Eco Flow, so I can really do some really nice long exposures there. But I don't really know when I'd use an hour long exposure, but you know, I'm sure there might be some times in the future. So yeah, I really like that, and then yeah, it's just simple. And then if I don't want it, I can just disable it, and that's it. But yeah, really nice and simple. I've got mirror lockup, which I never actually used, to be honest. I don't know, I've still got it here, so yeah. And also what I like is I'm able to got my aspect ratios here. So I've only got the 4, I've got the 3:2, I've got the 4:3, the 16:9, and the 1:1. Now I use these in camera, it allows me to frame my scene a lot better. If it just had the 3:2 aspect ratio and the standard, no crop whatsoever, it'd be a lot harder, and I'd have to think ahead, you know, think about, like, you know, maybe put my fingers over the display trying to visualize it, but this allows me to better visualize. Now I don't tend to when I bring the photos into Lightroom in the editing suite, I don't like the 16:9. I'll crop it to a 2:1 aspect ratio, or crop it to a 3:1 aspect ratio, so it's a nice thin slip. And you know, drop in resolution I don't mind because of where it's going. And I can always, you know, do an enhance in Lightroom, which will increase the image quality there. Got format memory card down here, which is, you can just do that very easily, nice and quick. And now I can also configure it so I can select new items to register. You can really customize the camera up and make it as quick and easy to operate, which is fantastic. You know, having the remote port on the side or on the front here is all right. Haven't really had any problems with it. It's actually really nice. I don't have to worry about getting on the side, and especially when I use an L bracket on the camera, it just makes it nice and easy. Battery performance is really good as well. What I actually do have, so I've got the Canon LPE6, I've got the LPE6N, and I've got an LPE6H, I think it is, the newer one with for like the R5, and get better you're able to shoot for longer. I haven't really found it's made much of a difference. But what I do carry around with me, which I do charge a lot of my batteries with, is this. Now my camera battery is flashing at me, so I better change the battery now. Alright, now we're back and we've put a new battery in, so we'll be able to keep shooting, which is fantastic. So yeah, as I was saying, I use this, it's just off eBay, it's just a smart charger. It actually works really well. It doesn't, charge the batteries fast or anything, it doesn't short them out. The batteries have got a microchip in them as well to protect them, so yeah, you're not going to have a problem there. And it did come with these all these generic batteries. I would not use those in my cameras. They tend to leak, they don't tend to perform as well, and I'm always worried about those shorting out because yeah, they don't have to meet the standards, and I don't want to damage this camera because yeah, it's so good. So yeah, and all I do is put these in, and this charges both batteries at the same time, and then all I do is hook it up to a battery bank, which I normally have in my camera bag, and I'm able to charge batteries out in the field, or I have thought about getting a little solar panel as well, just to keep in the camera bag to charge as well, in case the power bank runs out, which would be great for actually multi-day hikes or adventures away in the wilderness, which is something that I really want to do in the future. Just trying to think, there's not really too much that I rely on the camera for. I just want it to take a photo. I want to have easy and I want to find it nice and easy to use. It is, as I said, just putting into mirror lockup, onto live view, just press a button. The ISO capabilities are decent, and no problems there really whatsoever. I've had it up to 16,000 and it's still pretty good. Yeah, I know people that don't really like to go for 3200 or 6400 because that's considered high, but cameras are really good these days. They're just getting better, but not a huge amount. Technology, I think this is something that I personally feel when it comes to cameras. If you've got any camera that has been released since 2016, the image quality isn't really going to differ that much. Now I know there's like hybrid sensors, there's stacked sensors and stuff, and apparently that's a lot better, and I think it is. But for like image quality wise, I don't think we're going to get much better. I haven't seen it groundbreaking or anything like that. The only thing I've seen is camera specs, camera features, within, more so with what they can do. Yeah, but yeah, so yeah, I've been also sorting out my lenses. So yeah, I'll put this off to one side. I think I've gone over everything, really. I am using an L bracket. This is by PMG. Not affiliated with them anymore. I want to keep specifying that in case you've come from another video, and where I said I was, now I'm not. I'm trying to work out what I'm going to do about that one. I have thought about making another video on it, just addressing the situation, so you don't think I'm just using it because of them. But I think that's the problem with YouTube. I've got a bit of a sore arm from working on my car. Yeah, so it's nice being able to use old memory cards. I've had no gripes whatsoever with it. I think if the camera was like 24 megapixels, I'd feel a little bit different when it comes to cropping. That's actually something I found that's actually one of the reasons why I went from the 6D to the 5D Mark IV, because I had the extra 10 megapixels. I can crop in more, had the touch screen that I could use on this camera. Yeah, I'm not sure if I've done a video on it, I can't remember. But yeah, but I'm just using cheap glass with it, and some very nice glass. So this is my Canon 24-105 variable aperture one. I can't remember what the aperture is. What is it? It's 3.5 to 5.6. You might be wondering, well, why am I using a lens like that? It's going to be cheap and horrible. It's actually really, really good. The sharpness is really good. The chromatic aberration is a lot better than the f4 version. I don't tend to use it as much anymore, because I like to reach for my telephoto lens or my wide-angle lens. But this still has its uses, and if I want to go pack lightweight, head to the mountains or something, then this will cover me for that nice range. Funny enough, my Hasselblad, my H series, I had the 28mm, and then I also went out to like the 150mm, and I had the 35-90. All those three lenses are basically combined into this, if you think about the field of view in full frame. So with those lenses, I had equivalent focal length or field of view of a 22 to a 118 mil, and this is 24 to 105. So yeah, it's nice and it's small and it's lightweight. It's cheap. These are really cheap. You can pick these up for, and yeah, and the sharpness, and it's, I got an STM motor in it, so it's ultra quiet. So if you're doing any video, you won't hear it. The old, the F4 version has a USM motor, so you would hear it if you were having a microphone on the camera. So yeah, I've also recently upgraded to the, I had the 16 to 35 f2.8. The original one that came out in the early 2000s. Now this came out in the early 2000s, but it seems to render resolution. It seems to be able to handle resolution a lot more, a lot better than the 2.8, because the corners are getting really soft, even from like the middle, or not in the middle, but just a third. So if you're going from the middle and you go between the, I'll do it like this, so you're going from the middle to the outside, just about here, it started to really fall off quite badly. No matter what aperture I used, it was, yeah, it just didn't work, and I didn't like it. And I was thinking, long term, if I want to print my work and put it in a book or, you know, a calendar, then you would see that and it wouldn't look as good. So yeah, if I was just putting up to Instagram and stuff like that, wouldn't have a problem at all. So yeah, 17 to 40 f4. Picked this up for about $370, I think it was. So very nice and cheap, and very, very nice and lightweight. And all of my lenses now use a 77mm filter thread, so I don't have to worry about using step-up rings, I think it is. I just buy those really nice and cheap off eBay, and then I can use my Lee filter holder and adapter rings there. And then this is something I've upgraded to, is the Canon 100 to 400 what is it? It's an f4.5 to 5.6 LIS. This is the version 2, and my goodness, this lens is superb, and it's super. Oh, I think it's lightweight. It weighs about 1.3 kilos, 1.4 kilos. My whole kit, I think, weighs under 3 kilos, which is very good considering my old setup that couldn't do as much as this. Was limited on range. My longest lens was 300mm, which I think in full frame field of view perspective was equivalent to about 230mm, which wasn't great. So yeah, and I've got all the reach to 400mm, and if I want to, I can put my 1.4 time extender and make this a 560mm lens. Now, there was some things when people were saying that the 1.4 time was a little bit soft. It is, but it's not that bad, and it's not that bad with this lens. It seems to be pretty darn good, as I've done some burb photography with this, and yeah, the results were very nice, and the focus system was very, very quick, no problems there whatsoever. So yeah, beautiful lens. But yeah, it's really hard to make these videos because I wonder how much to include and what not to include. I don't want to make it too long, and I don't want to make it too short. I want to include things, and I'm terrible at these. I think I'm just terrible. You know, there's people on YouTube which do reviews, but they go over the main things, but they don't go over the other things. So they miss out a lot, which is some of the stuff that I want to know about, but they don't go into it. But maybe I'll just talk too much. I don't know. These always stress me out as well. Oh yeah, maybe I should say how much all of this has cost me. If you are wondering, I have purchased every single one of these lenses and camera body used. So I'm repurposing gear that someone, you know, they want something new and the latest, and I've just or they just need the money, and I'm rehoming it and getting many more years of use out of it. So yeah, price wise, this was $2,000. The 100 to 400 was just over $2,000. I think I paid $2,020 for it, so we're looking at $4,200 right now. This was $370, so that brings us up to $4,390. Is that right? My maths is so bad. I think it's 4,390, and this lens I think I paid about $415 for, so that's what is it, just under, I'm gonna go 4805 or whatever it is. So yeah, and that gives me a whole kit. And I think this little guy here was about $100 and something. I didn't want to spend a lot. So all up, I've got a kit for under $5 and I'm very, very happy with it. And it's a kit that I don't see myself selling. Now, there is a system that I am looking at that I would love to buy and love to own. And I think we're going to hire it one day and go for a shoot with it. And maybe do a week's worth of content on it. And that is the Leica SL2S. That is a fabulous system. It reminds me so much of the Hasselblad X1D. Just the usability, the ease of use, and it's just so simple and so well made, and it's not that expensive. I think I've done a thing on it a while back, and for similar glass, similar zoom range and everything with the Leica, compared to a Canon R series R5 and lens wise, there was only like a $200 difference. Or maybe it's $300 difference. There's very, very little difference in it. But yeah, anyway, I better stop talking about this. I feel like I've gone on enough. I feel like I've been talking for long enough. So yeah, anyway, it's time to let you guys go. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, be sure to hit that like button. It really helps out the channel. If you'd like to see more videos, be sure to subscribe. And if you've got any questions, if you'd like to say anything, pop it down in the comment section below and I'll do my very best to get back to you. Anyway, I'm Simon and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, bye for now. Alright, so I was just about to pack up and I remembered, since we've mainly talking about second-hand camera gear, all of my stuff is second-hand, I thought I'd bring you on to, it's not a channel sponsor, but it is a company I am affiliated with, and that is called MPB. So if you're interested in buying any second-hand gear, you may be looking to even upgrade or sell, they are the people to go to. I've been using them since 2014 and I can't think of a better place to buy from, and I'm really looking forward to going back to the UK and being able to work with them more over there. They are a truly amazing service. You know, what you see on their website is actually what you get. It's not generic, they're not just a generic photo or anything like that of other gear that has come through. It's of that item. They give it, they will tell you if there's a problem with it. They will tell you absolutely everything you need to know, and it also comes with a warranty. So yeah, if you are interested in heading over to checking out MPB and buying from them, be sure to use the link down in my in the description below, and yeah, and whatever you purchase from there, I will earn a little commission on that, and it helps me do what I do here. So yeah, anyway, I hope you've enjoyed, and I will see you on the next one. Okay, bye.